It's so nice to have you join us today as we celebrate love. And wherever you are, whether you're celebrating agape love or you're celebrating Eros love, we just want to welcome you to this candid conversation on love and marriage. We are privileged tonight to have a wonderful couple here with us, Goki and Kiki. And they're going to be walking with me and having a conversation about love and marriage. But before we do that, Kiki, could you introduce yourself to us and let us know how you met him?
All right, my name is Kike Adegoke Ode. It's a full flash. We met in school, actually. I was studying electrical engineering, and he was also studying electrical engineering. But we really were going to the same fellowship in school. So a friend of mine had been talking about her music director. I just have to meet him. She was my school friend from high school. So I said, okay, I'll meet this person. And so we were just together one day, and he happened to be coming. So she's like, oh, this is the person I wanted you to meet. And she introduced us. We happened to come from the same state. So that was kind of like, she's like, he's from your state. It would just be so great. I'm like, oh, whatever. I came to school to study, so I'm not getting distracted. And that was really how we met. I later joined the choir, so we became closer, and then we were in the executive of the fellowship, so we kept getting closer until one day he popped the question.
Oh, nice. And did you meet her the same way, or what's your story, Goki?
Yeah, well, like she said, she was introduced to me by a mutual friend. She was already in school. I was in school. I mean, we studied the same course, but we were not in the same. We didn't graduate the same year. I was 2 years ahead of her. So I was already in school, and her friend who was already in school doing a pre-degree program. So yeah, she was one who introduced us to ourselves, and we were in the same fellowship. We gradually became friends, and for me, because of the way I grew up, I had a mentor who was like a spiritual mother to me, who told us how she got to know who her husband was. I loved their marriage. I lived a bit in their house too, and as a teenager, when I heard her story, I must have been like maybe 15 or so when I heard her story, or 16, of how she got to know who her husband was. I said, I want to know who my wife is like this too. I don't want to have to crack my head and go through all some of the dramas. I just, as a teenager, that seed was planted in my heart, because she heard from God, and God gave her the name of her husband. They've known each other, and he was the most unlikely person. So I've had that desire even as a teenager. So one day I was, I know, some people make a whole drama of this. I heard from God and all that. Well, it's true. You can desire to hear something from God, and He will grant you the desire of your heart.
Sure.
So I was off campus one day. I wasn't praying anything about wife or anything, but deep down inside of me, I just knew. I was saying, I I came here to just spend time with you, God. I didn't come to talk about wife and all that. But, it grew stronger in my heart, and I gave it time.
Yep.
To be honest with you, between the time I knew and when I asked that out, it was 20 months.
Wow.
Yeah. So
20 months.
yeah. Because I just wanted to, whatever is true, if it's authentic, it will last.
Yes.
It will, it became stronger, and we became closer and closer. And one of the things I prayed about is, Lord, I don't want all the, sometimes I see people around who are going out, and then the lady's excited today, she's down tomorrow. I didn't want any of those kind of things. I didn't want drama. So I said, well, Lord, you've told me, please tell her also. And really, she knew, maybe even before I knew. Women have some
instinct.
yes, so even before I asked her, she knew. She still did the drama of give me some time.
Yeah, I gotta think about it.
Of course, right?
But then after how many weeks did you?
It was about 2 months.
About 6 weeks. It was 6 weeks, yes. And then and she came back and gave the okay. Yeah, we can go ahead with this.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, that was my final year in school,
school.
and she was in 300 because electrical engineering is a 5-year course.
Right.
So she was in 300 level. Then I was on my way out.
Wow. And so you guys got married how many years ago?
We got married 2009.
Mm-hmm.
So this year it will be 12 years,
12
by
years.
April.
12 years.
Yeah, we
in
got
marriage.
married Easter weekend.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Wow. What a great journey. That is awesome to know that. So I won't get into details about what happened during the wedding, but I'm curious to know. So Kiki, what are the 3 things that you desire from him for you to feel loved, for you to feel respected and taken care of? And I'll start with you, and then I'll also ask him the same question. For you to feel loved, respected, and taken care of, what are some of the 3 things that are on top of your list?
Before we got married, we both read the book 5 Love Languages. So it really gave us a picture and the understanding of how different people respond to love.
Sure.
And for me, I really like to be affirmed. So it could be in words or just somebody knowing that I'm there and recognizing the things that I do. So that speaks to me, that ministers to me. And I'm always looking for that from my husband too. And he's pretty much really good at it too. I mean, saying, encouraging, and maybe like I do something in the house or something for the kids, recognizing that ministers to me. So that's one. I like touch. I'm a PDA person, so yeah, I don't mind my hands being held in public, or you put your hands over my shoulder. It just works for me. So touch really ministers to me. And then also quality time. And because of that, we're doing a lot of things together. I just like to have him around. Sometimes I tease with him. We traveled over the weekend, last weekend, and we're together all through. But when I came back on Monday, I was like, where have you been all my life? So just like, we've been together all weekend. But that really tells me that I'm loved when you enjoy spending time with me. So.
Okay, so when you mean to be affirmed, what are some examples of the things that he does or he has done in the past that have made you feel I'm affirmed? Like, you look really nice today. I hope he told you that. I'm just kidding. But what are some of, give us like 2 examples of the things that, he does or you would like him to do for you to feel quite affirmed?
And for affirmation, many times, whatever I wear, he even picks it out. So he makes sure that I'm, if I'm heading out and maybe my top doesn't well match my pants, he's like, you should wear something else. So that tells me that he's aware of me.
Sure.
He's aware of what I'm doing. He's not just like, oh, I don't care. So everything, that's one way he affirms me. And then when I do things in the house, really, like if I cook and he loves the food, he'll say, oh, this food is very nice. Sometimes even if it's not like fantastic, the best meal in the world, but he'll say, oh, I like how you did this. So he's really good at pointing out things I do around the house, or maybe on the job. If I come and say, oh, this happened, he's usually the number 1 man that will say, hey, keep pushing me to keep going for my dreams and stuff. So that really makes me feel
Good. Mr. Goki, what are some of the things that she does or you would want her to do for you to feel the same way, loved, respected, affirmed?
Yeah, so for me, I'm a value person. Like what I mean by that is I'm more interested in how than what. So when somebody, not just her, but when someone wants to give anything to me or when someone wants to do anything for me, I like to know that there was a lot of, thinking or mindfulness that went into it. So thoughtfulness is big for me. And I appreciate it, whenever, sometimes I get so busy, and, she's thinking ahead of what she can do for me. Like, I like tea, for instance. So when I get tea, like first thing in the morning with lemon in it, and maybe lemon and honey. I like that tea that way. That's my recipe. When it comes like that, and especially on days that I'm very busy and things like that, it's just tea, but that she thought about it.
Yep.
That hey, this guy is going to sing today. Let me get him something. I love that. that some thoughts went into it. For me, really, to be honest, that's like what I look for a lot when it comes to the love languages. So that's like the acts of service thing. It's not like I'm always looking for you to do something for me, but that it may be very little, but how it was done. Of course, I'm a words person too. I'm very, very careful with my words. So I love it when people around me, watch their words, prepare for it. Sometimes people just say anything because that's what's in their heart. The Bible says it anyway, that out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So words, of course, too, words of affirmation. It's very important for me too. It's not that I can't live without it, but I will love it if I get that.
Okay, great. So the Bible says that wives should submit to their husbands, and I'm paraphrasing this, and respect.
Yeah.
And then husbands should love their wives just like Christ loved the church. So as a man, what are some of the things that you feel like a woman should do for you to feel respected?
Okay.
In a Christian context. Because we are Christians.
Yeah. That's a great question. There was a time she pointed this out to me, and it was her elder sister that said it. That word submit in the Bible, it's written in the Amplified version, that it says adapt. To adapt, to adapt yourself, to your husband.
Right.
Ideally, the man is, should be the leader.
Right.
Casting vision and things like that. And the wife submitting to it, that submission is just like agreement. Doesn't mean to be subservient, or how do they say that word? It doesn't mean to be like a servant. We serve each other, and I don't want to say it doesn't mean like not being a servant. We're servants to each other because we serve each other in love. So I see that submitting as listening to each other. Actually, the Bible, in that same place, it talks about submitting to one another. In the fear of God. So we submit to one another. It just happens that a lot of times, as a leader in the house, I will maybe be the one who comes up with pioneering things, with saying, let's go this way, let's go this direction. And sometimes the wisdom doesn't have to come from me all the time. It can come from her. But when I say that, and the cooperation, and then sometimes if it's not going to look well, the way it is presented, like, man, you don't know anything. I must give it to, honestly, women have an intuition that men don't have naturally. So there are sometimes that some ideas, for the man, I'm seeing this thing and I want to go for it, but the wife sees that, what if we do it this way? Or it may not go well because of something that she's sensing that the man is not necessarily sensing, because he just wants to go for it, So the submission will be at that moment will be not letting him go that way and saying, I think if we do it this way, it will be better. I'm saying it, of course, respectfully also. Not like saying you don't know anything, So adapting. I believe that is, and that's one of the reasons why I believe it is. When you get married to a husband, you take the person's last name. You become like adopted into that family. Right. You have the rights. Really, that's the way it should be. You have the rights that anybody in that family has. So you adapt yourself. You're not exactly married to that family, you're married to your husband, but you become a part of that family. Just as well as the man becomes a part of the wife's family. I hope my rabbit trail.
No, it makes sense. You're wrapping it all together, but I know, especially in the hustle and bustle of life, sometimes as wives, we can feel that we're not being respected, or we're not feeling the love. And Kiki, when you have felt that, or when you, what are the things that sustain you? What are some of the things that have sustained your marriage over the years? Because 11 years is not, marriages, we thank God, marriages are in trouble.
Yeah.
But we thank God for that we are still standing here. So what are some of the things that sustain you when things are not going the way you feel as a wife
Right.
they should be going?
Um, One big thing is to remember that God is the foundation of our home. And we've really decided that there is no checking out. It's like we've signed up for this journey and it is for life. We made the decision. Somebody said, make a decision and then make it right. So we've made the decision to be married. Now all the parts of making it right is up to us. So what we do usually is we talk about things before they get too sour. So if I'm feeling, oh, he's been so busy and he hasn't talked to me, he hasn't asked me how I'm doing, and things like that. I've been with the kids all day. I just, after like 1 or 2 days of thinking about that, I immediately go and say, you've been also busy, you've not noticed me, and then we talk about it. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't intend to, but I have this project. And really, I also work to, with a pre-understanding, because it's not fair if I know he has so much to do for me to add myself as a burden on him. So I need to have that understanding myself that, okay, you're an individual, you're a human being. Yes, you need all of this love and attention from him, but he also has this assignment, this purpose, this thing he's pursuing. Now, you can get on board and encourage him and say, go for your dreams, or you can hold him back and let him sit and be pampering you all day. So which do you want to do? It's better for me to say, hey, go on, don't worry, I'll be strong. And I know you'll have time once you're done with this project and you will be paying attention, So really that pre-understanding also helps me to be able to say, I can't sit down here and just be throwing myself a pity party when I see he's trying to go out and be the man for our family. So that's also an important part of it.
And is this something that has you've grown as you grow in your marriage to come to that place, or has this been you like this since day one?
I think it's definitely growth. Definitely growth. At the start, we're really, I would say we're well grounded. We grew up in good environments. Our parents have good marriages. We're in church where we were attending to. We had very good examples. There were seminars. We read books. So we had very good foundation. And our fear and love for God too was, it's like the ultimate foundation. So character-wise, maybe I'll say, yes, I was okay. But learning marriage was a new thing that I never done before. So I had a lot of emotional growth too that I needed to do, or that needed to take place. And definitely over the 11 years, there has been that growth. So there will be times when, you make it a big deal. We always joke about one time we went to shop because we shop together. And, we had bought, then in Nigeria, we bought about 30,000 Naira worth of stuff, just food stuff. Now, Naira and dollars are kind of different, so it might be difficult. But that was we had spent a lot of money already. And then I was like, oh, I want to get corned beef. Then he was like, we've bought all this stuff already. Where we just have to leave this place. And then I just got also upset. I said, I can't cook spaghetti without corned beef. We have to buy corned beef. So he was like, look, we have spent a lot. We are not going to get corned beef. So I was like, oh. So I went home. It was a little quiet on the drive home. Now, this was our first year in marriage. It was quiet, everybody was just quiet and everything. But I went home, I cooked the spaghetti without corned beef. It was sweet, we ate it, and now we laugh about that every time because, I could have taken it out of proportion and decided to pack my bags, but wouldn't it be silly to say I gave up on my marriage just because of corned beef? And now I can buy as much corned beef as I want to buy. And it's not like we had not even spent a lot of money that day already. So I'm just painting that picture to say, what's more important? Are you going to pick the issue, or are you going to lift up your marriage and the love that you have for this person and make your marriage work?
So what I'm hearing you say is that as you grow in your marriage, you learn to pick your battles.
Right. I can't fight about corned beef anymore.
Right.
No matter what. It was just childish. It was my beginning, But it took growth to see that and to get there.
And Goki, I know women, we talk when things are not going right. And I read somewhere men tend to, to be quiet. So what is your style and what has helped you?
What has helped me, I've learned to listen more. Listening is a great conversational skill I've learned over the years. Like she said, because of the environment we were exposed to before getting married. I grew up where reading is a culture. my friends that we went to school together with, we used to. I mean, it wasn't an unhealthy competition, but we used to spend all our money, our pocket money, to spend it buying books and things like that. So, learned from people like Miles Monroe, John C. Maxwell, about relationships and learning to listen. I used to be I am still so sometimes. I used to be very persuasive. I mean, if I want you to do something, I'm going to persuade you to do it. And it was just a choleric part of me. I will get you to do it. I mean, it helped me, when mentoring some people who will not want to do anything.
Right.
But when I got into the marriage, I had to realize that it's different here. When you're a leader in different, you're a leader, you're doing this, doing that, you're saying bring these people, bring it. But when you get into your home, it's different. So one of the things I've learned to do is to listen. And I'm still learning how not to pick fault at everything. I thank God for his work on me. But I used to be also, as much as the choleric thing, I used to be also very melancholic, very, perfectionistic and all that ideal environment of things like that. But I've grown to learn to take some things. I mean, you want this to be here, you want this to be there, you want this to be... A lot of times I'm like that, but, I've learned, to, like you said, to pick my battles. I've learned not to complain about everything. I believe I'm still growing in that area, but that's one of the things that I've really learned to do, to listen. Listen, just listen. I remember when we first met, when we were just becoming friends, and I told her, I said, I can talk, because I talk with people, and I thought, wow, I'm such a talker. But then when we started becoming friends, one day she said, I mean, I thought you said you were a talker. So that's a big part of it, just learning to listen.
Listen.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing you say is listening is also part of communication. Because people think communication is when we are talking back and forth.
Right.
But I think people forget that listening is communication,
Yeah.
because you must hear each other.
Oh, yes.
Otherwise, you lose each other when you both keep talking.
Right.
In fact, I read one thing Dale Carnegie said in one of his books, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Is he talked about he was talking about listening, and then he talked about when he went to a party or a meeting, and he met this man, and he just listened. He listened the whole time, and when they were done, the man sent me a message and told him that you are the greatest conversationalist that I've met. He said, well, I did nothing but listen. All he did was listen to him.
Right.
So a great part of conversation is listening. A lot of things get lost when we don't listen. And to add to that, listening, people with, and I don't want to say too many things that are, a lot of people that have the type A personality, when they are listening to you, and that's me. When they are listening to you, they are thinking of a solution.
Right.
Me too.
Yeah,
That's
listening
me,
to a
yeah.
solution, for a solution to. So I used to be like that. That I'm always looking for how to fix things. But all she just needed is someone to hear what she's saying. So when she's done with it, and I begin to give all the solution and all these verses in the Bible and all that, that's not what she needs at that time. She just wants someone who will listen. So I believe that sometimes now she's even saying, say something, or and all that. So I believe that's one of the things for me.
Some of them. And Kiki, so in listening, how has that built your relationship, having somebody to listen? Because women, we can talk.
Oh, yes.
We can complain. We don't know how to be quiet, because that is just how God created us. So in your relationship with Goki, how has listening helped mold your marriage and make it and your relationship stronger?
Like he said, he's really learned to listen now. So And sometimes I don't even have anything to say, but I just like want to talk. So he listens out, and what I see is that after those times of just me being able to just talk about whatever is on my heart, I'm able to see clearly about whatever it is. Maybe it was an issue. I'm able to see clearly just because somebody helped me to process my thoughts. And then the other thing too is that it also makes me feel closer to him, because that's what conversation does. The people that we talk with every day, we begin to become closer friends with,
Right.
compared to the people that we talk to once in a while. So when I have those times where we just sit down and listen, it's just kind of like it's glue that
Right.
makes our marriage stronger. And then we get a lot of results from, and we're able to maybe, like, if it's a project or whatever, you're able to break it down, analyze, and see steps forward, things that you want to accomplish. So it's really, really, really healthy for a husband and wife to be able to sit down and, sometimes it's I have to listen to him too. Not being in the same mode of not looking for a solution, but just listening and hear him unburden his heart. And I think for women, when your husband comes to the point where he wants to talk to you about something, you have to seize that opportunity, because many times the nature of the man is like he's going for, he's calculating, he's getting it all together, and he might not even necessarily involve you. So when he comes now and he's ready he wants to talk with you, you better be ready. That's not the time to say, oh, you didn't talk to me since, so I'm out of here, or I'm in a rush. That's the time to slow down and really listen to him, because that's a precious moment that you just got, and you need to be able to recognize that and seize that.
So ladies, I hope you're listening to that. When he says he wants to talk, drop everything,
yes.
because those moments are rare. But I also hear you guys say that, he's listening to you or you're listening to him, but you're actually sitting down to listen. You're not doing other things. Your all attention is on him, all
Right.
attention is on her. Not that you're watching, the guy is watching TV and watching Super Bowl on Sunday and then saying,
Let's
he's
talk.
listening. He's actually there sitting, having a conversation with him,
Yes.
and the other partner is listening.
Yes.
I hope that is what.
Oh yes, that's it. Sometimes you have to get the children off to bed,
Mm-hmm.
and but for us, that morning time is really a good one for us. They're still asleep before getting them up to get set for school or whatever. That's a very good time for us to talk. So once we've done our praying and if there's anything, because we're then seated, it's not yet time to start getting set for work or anything. So you can really have that full attention and it might be 5 minutes, sometimes it might be 7 minutes, but you can offload whatever is on your heart and
Good.
make progress.
So I know you guys have children, right?
Yes, we do.
How many do you have? Two?
Three kids.
Three. Oh, just tell me a little bit about your children, their age.
So Tiara is our first. She's 10, becoming a young lady before our very eyes. And then we have two boys. Larry is 6 and Ire is 4.
Oh, wow.
So
Nice. So that's quite a blessing.
Yeah.
And I know when you ask a lot of people in marriage, what's the greatest blessings you have? And people will be like, yeah, we have kids. And then some people it just stops there. But the question I'm throwing to you, I know marriage is rewarding.
Yeah.
And then children are a bonus reward. So apart from the blessing of children, and again, not everybody in a marriage is blessed to have children. That's why I said it's a bonus blessing.
right.
And children don't have to be biological. If you don't have biological, God can bless you
Yeah.
to have other children who you can either adopt or minister to in your church family or your community.
Exactly.
But apart from the blessing of having children, whether they're biological or otherwise, what other blessings have you derived from being married to this beautiful lady?
All right, thank you. A lot of things I can talk about. A big blessing is companionship. You have someone in your boat who reasons at your level. You can talk together anytime. That's one big blessing. And then along with a lot of times when we tell people our story, it sounds like fairy tale.
Really.
Because to be honest with you, a lot of things have gone well for us, and we can't take credit for that. We will give credit to the people that mentored us,
Sure.
to our parents. Growing up, I can only remember once when my dad and my dad is now about 77, my mom is 66, and yeah, still living their good life. You know, growing up, I've not seen. There was only once when I saw them, you know, exchange harsh. And when I say harsh words, I'm not saying they were insulting each other. No, it was just like.
An intense conversation.
Yes, and yeah, thank you very much. And it lasted for maybe like 30 seconds. You know, if right now, that is the only time I can remember. So we had great examples, our parents too, you know, so we can't take credit to ourselves, and then to how God has led us. So we give all the credit to Him. So what's the question I'm answering?
The
Blessing. Yes. So the friends, her friends, you know, they are quality people. You know, our marriage, we have such a network of great people.
Right.
I can't point one of our friends who is a bad person. And when I'm saying bad person, I mean someone who will cause our marriage to go downhill, or even our friends are people who lift us up. You know, and some all her friends are my friends now, and my friends are her friends. So we have that's one of the blessings of our marriage. You know, the quality, a network of people of excellence, you know, right people, you know, people we can pray together, people who can share things in life. And there's none of our friends that we try to hide things from, you know. So that's another blessing in marriage. And we do ministry together. And it's just a blessing to have, you know, to have someone who has her giftings, her, you know, the gifts that God has blessed her with, complements the ministry, you know, that God has given me as a person. I mean, He didn't just give me; He gave us. Like I would say it that way. And you know, we actually started together even before we got even before I asked her out. You know, and all that. So that's another big blessing. So many things I can mention, but I'll stop here for now so that she can.
So, just recapping companionship.
Yes.
And you know, people get married and they start as companions, and then they start to drift apart. The other thing, and I'll come back to that when I come to her. But the other thing you mentioned is mentorship.
Yes.
And what people see. And I hear you saying that even as a couple right now, your children are watching how you're relating, and that will affect how they relate to their spouses.
Exactly.
What can you say a little bit about that? How you relate and what example we should be showing our children as a couple?
Yeah, you know, kids learn from what you do, not necessarily what you say. You know, there's our 4-year-old Ire. Whenever you tell him to pray, he goes to put his hand on everybody there and pray for this, thank you for this, thank you for this person, thank you for this person. And it's because that's where I pray for them. When they want to sleep, after reading bedtime stories, sometimes that bedtime story is a quarrel before we read it, but we get to a point that we read bedtime story and then I pray for them, but I put my hands on their heads. You know, there was a time I was wondering why he always wants to do that. Then I said, okay, because that's what he sees me do. When I pray for them, I start from the oldest to the youngest or the other way around, you know. So every time he prays, that's what he does. So for kids, we may tell them 1,000 things, but what they're interested in is what you are doing. And I mean, there are people who have come from very turbulent homes who have because of that, they decided that no, I'm not going to treat my wife this way. You know, so I'm not saying whatever you do, you know, is what your kids will do, but you have a great opportunity to model life to them. You know, they see it. If you're always exchanging harsh words, we're reading from Kenneth Hagin once, and he said, if you walk into a house where harsh words have been exchanged, you can feel it. And there's something in you when you enter a home, and you feel that wow, there's love in this home. And that's something we've always prayed about, that our home will be a place where even people are hurting, just by coming into our home, they get healed. They can, you know, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there's freedom, but there's also peace there. You can tell it, you know, something that you may not be able to say because of this or because of that. But when you get into a home and there's peace, there's love, there's joy, there's
Sense it.
you can sense it, and it's so for the kids. I taught for a number of years. I started after my high school. The head of my school gave me a job, and I started from where little children are. I can tell when a child comes to school. I can almost tell what's going on in that house, even as a teenager. I can almost tell. There was one girl that always came late to school, and what was happening was that her mom had what they call a beer parlor, and they will walk this girl until about 10 p.m., 11 p.m. or maybe midnight, and then she comes, she's not doing well in school, she's asleep in school. I can tell from how children dress, what kind of, I can almost tell. It's not a finality, but I can almost tell
There's a relation.
what kind of home they are coming from.
It's psychological.
So it's very important. The way we treat each other, the way I treat my wife, the way she treats me, it's so kids are. They don't have to sit down to observe it. It's their life.
It's their life. They
It's
pick
their
it
life.
up from there.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing you say is that if you are a husband, treat your wife the way you would like somebody to treat your daughter
Yeah.
if they get married to
That's
them.
right.
Because then that is all they're saying.
Yeah.
But before we go to the next question, I'm curious to know what blessing, KK, you have derived from being married to this gentleman.
Oh, he himself is a blessing because he was telling you of how he has this nature, which he has really developed and packaged in a good way. But then he could get you to do something, because he mentored so many people, and he can see that, oh, you have this gifting, or you can be a star, and so he's going to stretch you, as they will say, to get to that point that you're supposed to get to. So my husband, he blesses me because he won't let me just sit on my oars and not be who I'm supposed to be. You said we're going to write this exam. When are you writing it? Those type of questions.
Right.
Oh, you
It
said we're
pushes
going to write this. You said we're going to talk to this person, So in a gentle way, it doesn't make me feel choked. Oh, I have to be doing this. But, keeping me going to say, go for your dreams, go for your goals. Don't just say, okay, I'm a mom, I have kids, I have all these tasks to do. But he blesses me by, keeping me going, my career, everything. Say, go for the top, go for the best. So that's really encouraging. Our marriage, really, the ministry has been such a blessing to us and to others, just keeping it going over these years. A lot of things die when people marry. It's maybe on the woman's side. A lot of things just die out, You just say, oh, I wanted to be this, I wanted to go to, maybe I wanted to achieve school sometimes, academics, and then you just, oh, now I'm married. So you just give it all up. But in our marriage, my husband has really been that energy to say, hey, keep going, don't stop, don't just relax and say, I'm married now. I hear that excuse a lot of times. They'll just say, oh, I'm married. No, but so that's really a blessing. And our ministry too, because we were doing some of these things he was doing before we got married. But even when we got married, we kept it on, and that has just been a blessing to us and to others too.
Awesome. That's good to know. So marriage is something that has to be continually nurtured.
Oh yeah.
You want good results for anything, you have to put in effort. They say you have to put in effort, you have to water the marriage for it to flourish and glow and grow at the same time. So what are some specific things that you've done for each other? Forget about the children, forget about your family. I want to concentrate on you two, your needs as a couple. What are some of the specific things that you've done, Kiki, for your marriage, so that you can continue? What are some of the watering you've done and continue to do or plan to do?
So early on, we read a lot of books. In fact, when we're dating, we used to do a book exchange. So you read this book and then I'll read this book. So we did that and we dated for about 6.5 years before we married. So we got a lot of that reading in, and that was really good. It gave us a lot of other people's perspective. You take out the good things and you say, I'm going to do this. So yes, that's really good. Because I know that he's a person of service, so I think about serving him. And serving, look at service in a good way. Look at service. Service is a good word. It's not servant, or it's not like you're in slavery. No, service is a good word. So I look to serve him. at a point when there was a time I was very busy, I set an alarm on my clock to say, have you given your husband breakfast? Just because I'm dashing out and all of that, and sometimes I'm already on my way, and I remember that, oh, you didn't do that. So I put that alarm on my clock to remind myself that now it looks like something so basic, and how can you forget to give your husband breakfast? But I wanted to make sure that it's not something that gets, lost in all of the things that I'm doing. So just to make sure that I'm putting attention on him. So I look at his love language and I minister to him in that way. And then, so I said we read a lot of books. So we were talking about it today and saying that marriage is like a university. So in the university of marriage, you've got to do your homework. You have those assignments that you must do. Your cleaning, your cooking, all of those things. So don't begin to think that it's just ordinary. Even though in our house we don't really have roles, because you can see me plowing snow sometimes. And sometimes we do it together. Sometimes he does it alone. Depends on what's going on. So we don't really break down and just say, okay, this is your chore and this is your chore. So whatever needs to be done in the house, we find ourselves picking it up. It's not a strange thing to see him in the kitchen doing the dishes sometimes, or maybe setting out the clothes from the laundry. Sure. Most times the laundry, he's the one that puts the clothes in the laundry, I must be honest. So we don't really have tied down roles where it's like, if he doesn't take out the trash, it's going to be there for weeks. But we just help each other to make sure that the marriage works.
Yeah, and some of the things we do to nurture our marriage, is we do everything together. We, I think that's our, if you,
summarize it, right?
If you want to summarize our life, and I'm saying our life because I'm saying that's one life, is we do things together. Before we got married, we used to, because we were, we met on campus on fire and all that, and we used to pray. In fact, her sisters used to make fun of her. You guys
dating at all?
Or praying, and all that. But early in those days, when we pray, we used to get results. I mean, some people will tell us this is going on, and we pray for the people, and they tell us they got, so we place a lot of value on praying together. So until today, what we do is we pray together every day. Some days this might be impossible for us to do that, but 90% or more than 90% of the time, we pray together every day. We place, that's more, family devotion with the kids is very important, but that's more important for us. We pray together. We have devotionals that we go through every day. We have one for parenting, one for marriage, and then, if we want, we can choose any other thing, but we must make sure that we have one for marriage and one for children. It's not always been like that, but we've always, like she said, read books. There are some books we read together.
Sure.
Like before we got into marriage, some of the books we had to read together. And early in marriage, we had books like the Act of Marriage, that talks about the intimacy. Yes, the intimacy of love. That's it. The elephants in the room that a lot of people don't want to talk about. We read about that so that we know how to make ourselves available to each other. So that's one thing we do. We shop together. Sometimes if two of us are not able to go, things will finish in the house because we've not been able to go out to shop together. We like to shop together.
We shop together too, so I think I'm glad I'm not weird.
So we're always trying to, I listen to some people, maybe like in my place of work or something, say, oh, this COVID, they've been in the house with their husband or wife and they just want to get out. We are home together a lot of time because we're working from home most of the time, but it doesn't even look like we have enough time. So we are looking for, but sometimes I just want to go and say, I want you to see me, just see me, or just, we are looking for excuses to spend time together.
Awesome.
So, and the more we spend time together, sometimes we're not, when we started earlier, if we are quiet, we say, oh, we're supposed to be saying something. But now it doesn't matter if we're sitting together and we don't see anything. It's unlikely. But if we don't see anything for 15 minutes, it's not strange. Yeah. We're just spending time together. So we do a lot of things. We do a lot of things together. We don't have, for instance, there's no your money, my money. It doesn't matter in whose account it is. We have some accounts that we are both, but it doesn't even matter where the money is. It's our money. You know, it's so doing things together.
Great. So I'm hearing read, water your marriage,
Yeah.
spend time together, because if you don't spend time together, you don't get to know each other.
That's
So
right.
part of nurturing marriage is making sure you're having quality time together. So I've been curious to ask, so before you got married, because you guys have been in love for so long, you're still in love, did you have some expectations for each other, and how have those expectations over time changed? Or are they still the same?
Well, expectations. I will say our expectations have matured
Oh yeah.
over the years. They matured. I always expected him to be the visionary, the leader, and I had no problem, even though I myself I also had those leadership traits, and I've always been in leadership, but I expected my husband to be the head of our home, like the Bible says. I might be the neck that might turn things here and there, but he's the head that should say, okay, this is what we're going to do. Maybe this is the word for the year, and things like that. And then we go together. So really, that's one expectation I would say never faded away. It remained that he should be the leader. But maybe other things like maybe how he should attend to me, or what he should buy for me, or those type of things have really evolved over the years as we've just gotten to know each other and learned more about what a marriage should look like.
Yeah, and kudos again, I mean, to those who like mentored us and things like that. Because one of the things we learned early is that, hey, you know, don't expect too much. Don't, I mean,
Over expectation.
you should have an expectation of God's blessing and increase and all that, but your husband or your wife is a human being, and they will fail a lot of your expectations, you know, and don't get so disappointed, you know, when those kinds. So maybe coming into marriage for me made me, I of course expected a lot of things like growth, like some of the things I didn't see the way I thought it would be. You know, definitely it happens, but like she said, as we grow, our expectations are getting more, you know, channeled to the right direction.
The mature.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. You know, every couple has their moments. And so you come home, Mr. Goki. Her attitude is south. She's not talking. She's upset. You can sense she's upset. What do you do?
So, what do I do at such? You know, sometimes it depends on what's happening. You know, I can't put it in a straight jacket. Sometimes you need to say something if it's urgent and important.
Right.
But a lot of times, things are not urgent. We just approach it with urgency. Because she may not be in the right frame of mind for me to begin to talk and correct things and do all that. You know, earlier in a marriage, I've talked sometimes that I shouldn't have, you know, and it took a longer time, you know, to get things right, you know, but I'm learning more, you know, because we're in the University of Marriage.
Yeah.
So we're learning more, you know, to sometimes keep quiet about some things. Sometimes it may not even need to be talked about, you know. But I mean, if you love somebody, if there's something that's not okay, you still tell them. But, you know, I'm learning more to say them at the right time, you know, choosing my words. I've always been very big about words, so I choose my words a lot, even when I have to say it. And because I can be passionate, I have to watch the way I say things.
Sure.
You know, I mean, you must have noticed I'm a very passionate person. So you can, you know, I don't want the passion to be mistaken for anger or disappointment.
Sure.
So if it depends on the occasion. If it's something that needs to be done at that time, because if I see a friend fall into a pit, I won't say, I want to wait for the right time. This is already falling into the ditch, you know. So if it's a snap that is needed at that time, I will, you know, do it. Because the wounds of a friend are faithful, you know. But I found out that most of the time, it can be talked about later.
Okay. And how about you? Do you want it to be addressed? Immediately, you're upset. He's walked in. Do you want him to ask you, or do you want him to? Sometimes they look like they've just ignored.
Right.
At least that happens in my homes. Somebody has just looked at you high and seen things
Didn't
are
notice,
hot
right?
here and just walked away. How would you want that to be addressed?
So, like he said, it would depend on this situation. I like me time. So there are some times that I just go into my shell because I just want to be by myself. I just feel like, oh, I've been doing things for everybody and I'm just feeling choked. So I just want some time away. And he's gotten really much better about sensing those me time times. So in that one, you want to leave me alone because you'll be hearing those one syllable answers, how are you, fine? Yes, so you're just okay, just give her some space. She's going to come out of it. But if that me time is getting to become hours and maybe even getting into a day, he's going to come and say something. And what I see him do is this, I call it like positive interruptions. So, he could just come in and see me getting down. Sometimes you need to catch the person before the person goes down that hill. And so he just brings something up, maybe a song I like, or tells me about let's go do this, something to just break me out of that slippery slope. So those positive interruptions really help. Sometimes just saying something, have you checked the kids report card, something to just turn my mind away from that that path and just change things up. And sometimes just that one thing that he says will just immediately pick me up and make me feel much better. But then if it's not those type of me time situations, that just needs to be maybe like I'm overthinking something and I'm beginning to almost go in a negative direction about it, then that's when it comes in with like things like scripture and say, no, you should not be talking like that. You should not be thinking like that. Better. Sometimes he won't come and say, so if somebody else was in this same situation as you, what would you tell the person? Oh, that one gets me. I'm like, but it forces me to not think about it. I know I will not advise my friend, and say, hey, just keep thinking down about yourself. Just keep, I would like to say, no, sister, come out of there. So I need to preach to myself like I'll preach to somebody else. So that you want to say, I now tell myself that there's the Lord will do it and there'll be a better, and somehow in just saying that out, I get the encouragement that I need to come out of that feeling. So
awesome. So we've been in a pandemic, and some of us have been working home, and we can be into each other's faces too much. So really quick, 2 things you've been doing to spark your love life, and I'm talking about intimacy. 2 things. It doesn't have to be. I don't want details. I just want to do 2 things,
Mention
2 little things, 2 little things you do to keep your love. Spice it up.
So, well, we kind of like have this family Friday movie night. So that's like the whole house really, but we try to
I want to
keep
talk
that.
about you. Forget about the children. 2
Just
things. 2 of you.
So what have we been doing? Really, we haven't really slowed down. So it's a little bit hard for me to pinpoint because in the pandemic, we even got more busy with some things like with music and our ministry. We've been doing so much more. So we've really still been doing all those things together, which have really like helped to keep us alive. I see a lot of things like maybe now we have much more opportunity because we have time. That drive, maybe we don't have to do all of those driving. So I've really seen him come on board with a lot of things around the house too, helping me with doing things around the house. It might not seem romantic, but it means so much to me when I have somebody else like helping me. So maybe he has time now to be with me in the kitchen while I'm preparing dinner. That alone is just like, wow, you're here so we can have conversations, we can gist, we can laugh. He's the expert in spicing the chicken, for example, in our house. So I'm boiling there. He now has more time because he's not driving from work. He can help me spice the chicken and help me cook dinner and do all of those type of things. So that, while it might not be romantic in a sense, but it really ministers to me and that helped to keep things flourishing for us.
Good. You don't write poems for him. I see you writing poems, but I'm just kidding. But Goki, 2 things you do for her. 2 things, or you think she does for you.
It's spend more time together. The pandemic, all that time that we are not going out somewhere else, we spend time. We just do things together. A lot of times people say I should come and do something, I go with her.
Yes.
And just that spending time together more. Because it's an opportunity to do it more.
Right.
I think it's what keeps the spark. It keeps the fire alive.
Keeps the fire alive.
It doesn't let it die. A place where we need to, to get gas and all of that. So, that's something. And it's giving us more time also to spend time in doing, or maybe some of the devotionals and things that we do. So I will say what has, the spark and all that, more is start spending more time, just opportunity to spend more time together. Yeah.
And really quick, for a couple that is either dating, seriously dating, or just newly married, what is one thing you would like to tell them? And one from each one of you.
This is what I would tell them. See, there's a lot of things going out there. You hear people say this, and it's very easy to be negative out there. You see, but as a child of God, your perspective doesn't have to be that of the world. There are turbulent marriages out there. They almost make you feel like if you're not experiencing challenges in your marriage, you're not really alive.
Yeah. Right.
That's not true. You can have a beautiful, lovely home where every day is, it's not too much to expect every day to be lovely and to be heaven on earth. If it doesn't happen like that, don't get disappointed, because we are human beings. But have a perspective different from that of the world. You don't necessarily take the baggage, of the people out there. Let God be the foundation. Go to God, pray together, spend time together, walk together, cook together, eat together. For a very long time, we were eating from the same plate. It just became, sometimes it's, because a lot of things going on, maybe we're not able to do that as much again now, but for a long time we're eating from the same plate.
Wow.
Be passionate about your marriage.
Yes.
Protect your marriage. I mean, there was a time when she goes to somewhere, there's a particular place she goes and she's going to come back, she's a little moody and all that. I do everything possible to make sure she doesn't go there. Although it's a place that she has to go to from time to time. But I try to.
Right.
Or maybe I will go with her. I'm not trying to be domineering, but protect your wife from the poison out there. Protect your spouse from there's a lot of poison out there. The news, some of the movies that we like are movies. I mean, I'm not saying some of the we're not TV people. Some of the movies that are celebrated are movies of the husband cheating on the wife and eloping with somebody, and we celebrate such people. Those are poisons for your marriage. Those are turned down.
Yes.
So protect your marriage. Fight for your marriage right from time. If you are just starting, look for people you like what you see. Ask them questions. Read. Enroll yourself in the marriage university. We go to university to learn how to be maybe a nurse, but we don't educate ourselves on marriage, and we expect it to be to work automatically. It won't work automatically. You need to enroll yourself in the marriage university. Sorry, you asked for 1 point. I think I've given 10.
I was just picking up from there. Really, in that marriage university, you should study each other.
Yes.
So, and that first year, dating and first year of marriage is a good time to study each other. Look at your husband. What does he like? What doesn't he like? How does he respond to this? You should know your husband. Let him be your textbook, or your wife. Saying let them be your textbook. So enroll in the University of Marriage. Study in that university. Do your homework in that University of Marriage. Like he said, reading books and all of that. One thing that was really key for us, I think that's spiritual bond. Now, we're both Christians. We have pretty much the same foundation. It makes things easy for us, because if he says, the Lord says, I can respond to that because it's the same kind of belief I have. So investing in that faith together, and that is praying together, studying the Word of God together. I think that is really primary, because the Bible says if the foundation be faulty, what would the righteous do? So that your God foundation. And we married to be together.
Yeah.
So let's be together.
Yes.
And that's why that doing things together for us is just like wow, because that's why we married. Otherwise we would have been here, we calling each other, but you get to a point where you say, no, I cannot just be apart from you. So let's move into the same house. Let's be together. Then we're together and we now want to be in separate bedrooms. No, or you do your thing. As many things as you can do together, do it.
Yeah.
You might not be in the same job line, but if there's anything that you can share and bring yourselves together into the same space, I think that would really help to enhance the marriage.
Great. What a great honor to have the two of you here. I hope you have learned something. And one of the things I want to emphasize, I know we see a lot of broken marriages, a lot of disting of marriages, but I want to assure you that as long as the Lord builds a house,
Yes.
the ones who build it to labor in vain. But they are good marriages, only that they are not amplified. So today I'm happy to amplify a wonderful marriage. The Christian marriage is still working. We are still going strong. God bless you. Enjoy each other. And please, as I said, spend as much time together as possible. Look for every and any opportunity to spend time together. God bless you. Keep loving each other. Thank you.
Thank you.